The housekeeper's son took my secondary card and spent my money to disguise the rich second generation envied by adults. He asked me, a real tycoon, to deliver food to him every day, to help him run errands, to slander me as his servant and suitor in front of his classmates, and even steal my ancestral jewelry to please the school beauty. I couldn't stand it anymore and decided to give him a sum of money to buy off the favor of saving my life. But after I came up with this idea, he actually cooperated with the housekeeper's father to poison our family's meals and directly occupied all the property of our family. I opened my eyes again and returned to the college classroom. Looking at the housekeeper's son in front of me who took my money to pretend to be X, I directly cut his secondary card. If it goes on like this, I'm afraid your housekeeper's father's salary won't be enough. 1. Why is the coffee so cold? Don't you know that Joer is in her physiological period? What are you still doing in a daze? If Joer feels uncomfortable after drinking, I'll ask you. He opened his eyes in shock and saw Fu Linchuan, the housekeeper's son, shouting and cursing with an angry face. Looking at my bewilderment, he sneered. Looking at me like this again, how many times have I said that there is only Joer in my heart? Don't fantasize that the domineering president will fall in love with me anymore. I'll reward you with a black card. Buy a hot cup for Joer again. Go back quickly. After saying that, Fu Linchuan waved his hand, and a black card hit me on the head. When the students in the classroom saw this scene, they burst into laughter. Xin Yun is so disgusting. Fu Xiaoming said that he liked the school beauty, and she still wanted to pester him. I guess it's because I read too many novels and my brain is broken. Later, I may have to spill coffee on the young master recklessly. That is to say, our Fu Xiao is kind, rich and generous, and he won't fire her. Listening to these harsh fools, I was not only not angry, but also ecstatic in my heart. Unexpectedly, I was reborn back to the day when Fu Linchuan chartered the whole hotel, and invited top stars to sing for Lin Joer. Thinking of the experience of my previous life, I directly bent down to pick up the black card and picked up the scissors on the table. Fu Linchuan's only economic source was broken into 2 pieces in my hand. Looking at the shredded bank card in my hand, the whole classroom suddenly fell into silence. After half a day, Fu Linchuan screamed violently. Who gave you the courage to cut my card? Xin Yun, are you crazy? Lin Joer, the school beauty, snuggled up next to him, rushed up to pick up the fragments thrown by me, and her tone was full of anger. Xin Yun, I know you have always liked Brother Linchuan, but how can you destroy my brother's card? That's all right. Brother Linchuan's black card is unlimited. You put me in prison. After saying that, she flatteringly sent the 2 cards to Fu Linchuan and said with tears in her eyes, Brother, call the police quickly and don't let this culprit go. Fu Linchuan gritted his teeth and put the card in his palm, took out the latest apple and began to dial. And I stood in the middle of the crowd and looked at Fu Linchuan unhurriedly. I cut my black card. Is this little thing worth calling the police? As soon as this was said, Fu Linchuan hung up the call that had just been connected in a panic, and looked at me with surprise. Xin Yun, what do you mean? I smiled disdainfully. What do I mean? I mean you will have to rely on your housekeeper's father to support you in the future. Seeing me say this, Fu Linchuan swallowed stiffly and pulled me out of the classroom. 2. Xin Yun, what on earth do you want to do? I like Joer, but so what? I will marry you in the end. He grabbed my shoulder and shook it desperately, and I looked at the face in front of me and almost vomited. Why do you think you deserve to marry me? Fu Linchuan's eyes were shocked. I'm your lifesaver. Without me you would have died long ago. Of course you have to marry me. I admit that I'm having a little fun now. I can get married later, and I will treat you well. I opened my mouth. Before I could make a sound, the school beauty Lin Joer chased me out. Seeing Fu Linchuan pinching my shoulder, she burst into tears. Brother Linchuan, you? Fu Linchuan let go of me in a panic and hugged Lin Joer into his arms. I'm just teaching this ignorant servant. Joer, today I not only invited your favorite top star, but also chartered the whole luxury hotel to sing for you. Your crying face is not good looking. Lin Joer was stunned for a few seconds, and then an amazing scream broke out. Oh my God, Brother Linchuan. You are really rich. With her shout, the classmates immediately came over. Really, top star? How much does it cost? Is it the most expensive hotel in the city center? I usually dare not think about it. What day is it today? Why did Master Fu treat you again? Lin Joer stood in the cheering crowd, her face full of blushing with joy. Brother Linchuan, today is the day we have known each other for 520 days, right? Fu Linchuan looked at the shy Lin Joer and drooled. Joer, I remember every minute and every second of us. This is the sense of ritual I give you. After saying that, he turned around and glared at me fiercely. Don't be stunned. Hurry up and reissue the card for me. If the delay in payment affects Joer's mood, just wait for me. I couldn't help laughing out loud. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for me to kneel in front of me and beg me to pay for you? The discussion students saw that I still dared to be hard-mouthed and pushed me to the ground. Xin Yun, There is also a limit to your pretentiousness. If it weren't for Master Fu's kindness, do you think you can still stand here now? I'm also convinced. Shen Yun, don't take other people's kindness as weakness. Master Fu is the child of the richest man. How can he ask you to help pay? That's right, what's wrong with the card? Our young Master Fu can get hundreds of millions even if he swipes his face. There are people with faces in the province. Who doesn't know our young master? Listening to everyone's praise, Fu Linchuan couldn't hold the corners of his mouth. Well, I like to keep a low profile. Don't say that. Shen Yun, go and arrange it quickly. I was going to refuse and directly let this dead brother's face be swept away, but now looking at Fu Linchuan's face full of spring breeze, I suddenly came up with another idea. Help you and Lin Jior arrange to charter the whole hotel and let the top stars sing, right? Good, but Master Fu, do you have money? Fu Linchuan glared at me fiercely when he heard the words. How can I not have money, young master? Hurry up and don't get in the way here. With Fu Linchuan's consent, I immediately called the hotel in front of all my classmates. After hearing my request to drive away all the guests, the hotel manager hesitated a little. Miss Shun, if you want to charter a whole day, how do we arrange the guests who have already checked in? I glanced at Fu Linchuan and said with a smile. Master Fu Linchuan said that the hotel must be empty today. He wants to spend his anniversary with Lin Jior. As for the other guests, you can arrange them at will. Anyway, Fu Linchuan has money, and at worst just give them some compensation. Seeing that he was really wronged, the manager no longer hesitated and agreed to come down. And the students who listened to the content of my phone call looked at Fu Linchuan with a little more respect. It's too domineering. In order to celebrate the anniversary, you directly drive others away. Fu Linchuan, you are really domineering. You have to lose a lot of money, Master Fu. What on earth does your family do? Fu Linchuan raised the corners of his mouth proudly in a blow. Don't inquire less about what you shouldn't know. Our richest family pays most attention to privacy. When the students heard the word the richest man, there was a fly-like discussion again. And I sent a text message to the hotel manager. Just now I just helped my classmates to pass it. You don't have to swipe my card when checking out. 3. The manager replied to me with an okay gesture in an instant. I relaxed and looked at Fu Linchuan, who was still pretending to be X, with interest. At this moment he was being praised in the spring breeze. He noticed my sight and immediately frowned disdainfully. Don't be stunned. Arrange the car. You've been getting more and more stupid recently. Do you want me to teach you this little thing? Hearing Fu Linchuan's sarcasm, the surroundings were immediately full of ridicule. And I stood in the crowd and calmly stretched out my right hand to Fu Linchuan. You can book a car. Give me the money first. Fu Linchuan looked at my movements, and his face instantly darkened. I asked you to call a car from home. Does it cost money? Looking at his stingy look, I couldn't help laughing. Master Fu, you don't have to spend money to call your car. Unfortunately, you only have a second-hand Charlie, which can't seat so many people. If you ask my family to pick me up, of course it will cost money. Lin Jior beside me heard what I said, and her eyes widened in shock. Shen Yun, what's wrong with you today? Why do you provoke your young master again and again? Brother Linchuan, you'd better fire this stinky nanny. It's better to keep this kind of person as a follower than to have a dog. Fu Linchuan listened to Lin Jior's words and clenched his fist tightly in anger. What's your family? Rent the best car for me at the car SK. I have money. Looking at his angry look, I tried my best to hide the smile on the corners of my mouth. Classmates, today, Master Fu will not only invite everyone to dinner, but also arrange the best car. Seeing that I was interested, the people around me immediately cheered. I called my friend's car rental company with the cheers. Master Fu Linchuan of our school wants to rent 20 of the most expensive cars to travel. Why don't you come to the school gate and wait for him immediately? Fu Linchuan seemed to be satisfied with my performance, and the corners of his mouth curled. For Shen Yun, you just can't give her a good face. It's ridiculous to always want to attract attention by hitting the master. Listening to Fu Linchuan's mockery, I raised the corners of my mouth indifferently. This car rental company has to pay first, young master. Do you have enough money with you? Hearing this, Fu Linchuan thought I was bragging about his wealth as usual, and said lightly, when did I, young master, be short of money? Then he glanced at the famous watch stolen from my father on his wrist and raised his eyebrows. It's almost time. Jior's favorite star is almost here. Classmates, today I will take you to enjoy yourself. After saying that, Fu Linchuan proudly raised his head and led the crowd to the school gate. I followed the end of the team, operated my mobile phone while walking, and turned off all the accounts bound to Fu Linchuan. When I walked to the school gate, I saw me at the end of the line through my distant friends and ran over. Shen Yun, why don't you call your own driver, but rent a car instead? I blinked my eyes quickly and pointed to Fu Linchuan, who had stopped and looked bad. It's not that I want to use the car, it's the young master. I remember your company's rule is to pay first, right? My friend is a person. Seeing me behave like this, how can he not understand? He smiled at me, turned to Fu Linchuan and bowed respectfully. Master Fu, this round trip totals 200,000 yuan. How do you think it is convenient to pay? Fu Linchuan pointed at me carelessly. Don't bother me with such a small thing. Just let my nanny pay. Hearing his words, the owner of the car dealer's eyes widened in shock. Are you all right? You said that Lin Wan, the richest man, is your nanny. Fu Linchuan didn't expect that the owner of the car shell knew me, and his face changed slightly. Don't care so much, just find her. I blinked and stretched out my hand directly. Master Fu, you have to give me the money first before I can pay. When Fu Linchuan saw me say this, a trace of impatience flashed on his face. Xin Yun, you still have no end. Isn't the money everywhere? I immediately made an exaggerated expression of shock. What kind of money? Is it your money? I haven't seen a penny. Did you remember it wrong? Fu Linchuan was dumbfounded. Xin Yun, what nonsense are you talking about? How can you not see my money? Isn't all my money deposited with you? As he said, he frowned at me. I held back my smile and opened my mouth slowly. Master Fu is really a nobleman. I don't have your money. If I remember correctly, your poor living expenses have been spent on Lin Zhou. Lin Zhou glared at me fiercely when she heard the words. Brother Linchuan likes me. Why don't you spend some money on me? You are quite generous. I'm afraid you're jealous again. After saying that, she came to Fu Linchuan's side. Brother Linchuan, I really can't get used to her lawless appearance. Pay quickly and hit this servant in the face. Fu Linchuan pinched Lin Zhou's hand soothingly and looked at the car owner with a straight face. My unlimited black card was maliciously broken by the servant. Scan the code. I laughed out loud. Such a big and rich young man can even remember where his own money is wrong. And what can he scan the code? Fu Linchuan's eyes widened in my anger and gritted his teeth. Xin Yun, you've really had enough. I'm so rich that I can't make money. Hearing this, the boss immediately showed the collection code. Fu Linchuan took out his mobile phone and entered the password. And then everyone present heard a crisp electronic prompt. Payment failed. The balance is insufficient. The owner of the car sking looked at Fu Linchuan with a smile. What's the situation, young master? Isn't he rich? Why can't he afford 200,000 yuan? Fu Linchuan's face turned black. He gritted his teeth and changed the software to continue scanning the code. However, several payment softwares were replaced, and all of them prompted that the balance was insufficient. Fu Linchuan's proud forehead has been sweating, and the students who were originally happy also began to complain dissatisfiedly. Master Fu, what's wrong with you? It's usually tens of millions when you open your mouth. Why can't you get this money today? Everyone's feet are sore. Can you hurry up? It's really right for Xin Yun. Will Master Fu have no money at all? Listening to everyone's discussion, Fu Linchuan blushed from his forehead to his neck. I was satisfied to watch the scene of him eating, but I didn't expect that Lin Zhou, a poor student, took out a bank card and handed it to Fu Linchuan. Brother Linchuan, is the system out of order? Try my card. Fu Linchuan breathed a sigh of relief, took over Lin Zhou's card, and successfully swiped 200,000 yuan. It should be that I have been oversuing recently and have been supervised by the bank. Thank you, Zhou. I will pay you back the money later. Lin Zhou shamefully hammered Fu Linchuan's chest. This is what you gave to him. The students are in a hurry. Let's go. While everyone was choosing a luxury car, Fu Linchuan pulled me into a corner. Xin Yun, what on earth do you want? I'm your lifesaver. You can't do this to me. Looking at his angry look, I lowered my eyes. In my last life, I didn't know until I died that my drowning was deliberately by Fu Linchuan. His son, a housekeeper, is usually jealous of my life. In order to get close to me, he set up a poisonous plan to make me fall into the water first and then save me. It's a pity that I was deceived. Unexpectedly, I remembered this kindness and was fooled by Fu Linchuan. Thinking of the pain of the tragic death of the whole family, I tried my best to suppress the hatred in my heart and smiled at Fu Linchuan. How can you, young master, care about this little money? If you continue to procrastinate, the school beauty will be in a hurry. After saying that, I pointed behind Fu Linchuan. He suddenly turned around and happened to meet Lin Zhou's eyes. Looking at me and Fu Linchuan standing together, Lin Zhou glared at us aggrievedly and retracted back into the car in an instant. Seeing that the goddess was angry, Fu Linchuan could no longer bother to ask me for money. He only said don't forget to pay the bill for a while, and then quickly ran to coax his wife. I shook my head at Fu Linchuan's back. It seems that he has been too deeply interested in the identity of Kuo. I am so confident that my money is all his. Soon, the car stopped smoothly at the door of the hotel. When they get off the bus, they can't wait to run to the most luxurious building in the province. Oh my god, this decoration, this momentum. I didn't expect Master Fu to come out and directly drive everyone away and open a party for us. What are you giving us? They want to make the school beauty happy. Let's follow this pair of golden boys and girls, and we will live a good life. Finally, Fu Linchuan and Lin Jior, who got out of the car, listened to the discussion of their classmates and unconsciously said, "The housekeeper's son asked me to be his licking dog 39,103. But none of them laughed as happily as I did. The 200,000 yuan just now, plus the 10 million yuan of the hotel, and the 20 million yuan of the top star. Fu Linchuan, in the future, you will have a good life of peddling the sewing machine every day." The hotel manager saw me from afar and immediately trotted to me. "Miss, here you are." Looking at the manager's movements, the students turned their heads and looked at me curiously. If it was an accident that the owner of the car shop came to me to say hello first just now, the luxury hotel manager ran to me and bowed, but everyone couldn't understand. Why didn't the manager say ho to the young master first, but ran to Shen Yun instead? Is this manager blind? Shen Yun is dressed in rags, and our master Fu is dressed in luxury goods. 5. The manager frowned after listening to these unfriendly discussions. "You frogs in the well, Our Lady wears private customization, and ordinary luxury goods are not qualified to be compared at all. If you insult the lady again, I want you to look good." Looking at the manager's angry look, I pulled his cuffs. "Okay, Uncle Zhang, don't argue with them. Besson, it's not my treat this time. Where is the person who paid the bill?" With that, I stretched out my hand and pointed to Fu Linchuan, who was full of anger. Uncle Zhang looked at my expression, smiled faintly, and walked to Fu Linchuan. "Young master, today's hotel fee is 10 million yuan in total. Look." Fu Linchuan ignored Uncle Zhang, looked over the crowd and stared straight at me. I looked at Fu Linchuan's inquiring eyes, nodded at him and smiled slightly. Seeing that I nodded in response, Fu Linchuan immediately came to his senses. 10 million yuan, there is no need to report to the young master in advance. You people at the bottom who serve people, oh, you have simply fallen into the eyes of money. Uncle Zhang took over the hotel from his father when he was young and read countless people. Even in the face of Fu Linchuan's provocation, he kept a decent smile. "In that case, please. The accompanying students cheered, looked here and there, and took out their mobile phones to take photos crazily. And Fu Linchuan and Lin Jior stood in the middle of the crowd like two proud peacocks. "Master Fu will pay for all the consumption today." With the shouts of the two of them, the emotions of the students were mobilized again, and they all began to jump up and down to vent their energy crazily. In the chaos, Lin Jior's eyes suddenly shifted to me. "Shen Yun, this hotel is too big. I'm tired of walking. Come and pinch my feet." After saying that, she lay directly on the sofa in the middle of the hall, kicked off her high heels at will, and stretched out her feet provocatively. Now the whole audience was silent, and everyone's eyes turned to me again. I sneered and directly picked up a comfortable chair and sat down. "Lin Jior, you are so bold that you dare to let me, the richest daughter, pinch your feet." As soon as I ran out of my words, the audience suddenly burst into laughter. Is Shen Yun crazy? Didn't she wake up? How could she be the daughter of the richest man? A little nanny can afford the tuition fee by relying on Master Fu Linchuan. How dare she brag so much? Shen Yun, you've had enough. Who doesn't know you? What's the point of pretending with us acquaintances? It's not that you don't want to pinch the goddess's feet and make any excuses, haha. Everyone laughed and covered their stomachs exaggeratedly, and some people burst into tears of laughter. In the midst of ridicule, Fu Linchuan stared at me nervously. "Shen Yun, don't talk nonsense. How can you be the daughter of the richest man?" As soon as he finished his words, Lin Jior sighed. "Shen Yun, don't think that Brother Linchuan is low-key and doesn't want to tell others. No one knows that Brother Linchuan is the only son of the richest man. You're so funny. You've been a nanny at Brother Linchuan's house for a long time. Do you have hallucinations?" I listened to Lin Jior's words and raised the corners of my mouth uncontrollably. I won't lie to you, there are really people who have been with people for a long time and have hallucinations. Unfortunately, it's not me. Fu Linchuan, don't use such retarded lies next time. When Fu Linchuan saw that I was going to expose his identity, his face turned red and he simply ran over to cover my mouth. "Shut up. Didn't you say that you were good at school to play the servant of my family?" I looked at Fu Linchuan in surprise. "Who agreed with you? Is there something wrong with your brain?" Fu Linchuan was so anxious that he sweated. "Yes, although we haven't signed the contract, you have been listening to me all the time. I saved you and you promised with your body. Do you have to emphasize this conventional truth?" 6. Looking at Fu Linchuan's hatred, I laughed out loud. "My parents only said that they would give you the same treatment as me in the future, but never asked me to marry you." "Fu Linchuan, don't dream." Fu Linchuan still wanted to argue, but there was an earth-shattering scream behind him. I looked over with the shouts and saw the top actor coming to me with a smile. He came to my side and bowed respectfully. "I didn't expect to meet you here. It's such an honor." I looked at this handsome face and thought for a long time before I remembered that this was the mountain student I once supported. I was about to open my mouth, but Fu Linchuan rushed ahead of me. "Don't be so polite. You go and get ready." Looking at Fu Linchuan's movements, all the students were relieved. I thought this star would also say hello to Shen Yun first. It's really worrying. I thought so just now. I almost thought that Shen Yun was really the daughter of the richest man. You dare to believe Shen Yun's words. You are funnier than Shen Yun. However, before they finished speaking, the top flow gently pushed Fu Linchuan aside like something dirty. There is no one to talk to you. Don't rush to block the way. Now even the stupidest people can see something wrong. Why do these bigwigs seem to know Shen Yun, but don't know Master Fu? Could it be that Master Fu is too low-key at ordinary times, and the errand work is left to Shen Yun so everyone only knows Shen Yun? Don't you think it's a little unreasonable? Just like working in a company, who can't remember the boss, but only remember a secretary. Listening to everyone's doubts, Fu Linchuan clenched his fist fiercely. Are all the stars so unqualified now? I don't know if I paid to invite you. Ding Lu looked at Fu Linchuan inexplicably. If I hadn't heard that the invitee's surname was Shan Mingyun, would you have thought I would have come? Now Fu Linchuan completely broke the defense. Shen Yun is my nanny and servant. She is just a tool for running errands for me. I'm the owner of the money. It's me. You, a singing star, who has the right to look down on me. The top stream looked at Fu Linchuan's furious appearance and blinked sly at me. In that case, Master Fu, please settle my appearance fee first. Hearing this sentence, Fu Linchuan, who was still losing his temper and throwing things, suddenly froze. He looked at me inexplicably. Shen Yun, what are you going to do? Why haven't you paid the appearance fee yet? I looked at Fu Linchuan with a stunned expression and showed a big smile. Am I not your nanny, Master Fu? How can the nanny pay the bill by herself? When Lin Jior saw her favorite star standing with me, she rushed over angrily and shook Fu Linchuan's arm desperately. Brother Linchuan, pay quickly. This is my favorite star. Fu Linchuan pushed Lin Jior away with an embarrassed face and pulled me aside. Okay. Shen Yun, stop it and hand over the money quickly. Jior likes to listen to him sing the most. I looked at Fu Linchuan and took a step back. Who she likes has nothing to do with me. Why should I hand over the money? Looking at me, Fu Linchuan broke out in a cold sweat. Shen Yun, don't use such little tricks to prove your status in my heart. I like Lin Jior's appearance, but I can guarantee that I will break up with her and marry you after graduation. Isn't that okay? 7. I laughed very cheerfully. Of course not. How can you, the son of a housekeeper, be worthy of me? My voice was so loud that everyone present looked over curiously. Fu Linchuan endured countless gazes and clenched his fists tightly, but did not dare to wave at me. Finally, he sighed, and his face was full of decadence. Well, it's all up to you. You pay the hotel fee and the appearance fee first. After today, I will break up with Lin Jior. I laughed out loud. Don't think so much. After today, you will go in and step on the sewing machine. Seeing that I was soft and hard, Fu Linchuan was anxious. He grabbed me and pushed me against the wall. The next second, Fu Linchuan flew out in front of me. This sudden change shocked everyone. Fu Linchuan cried for a long time before he got up. That short-sighted man dares to beat me. Don't you know that I'm the son of the richest man? The person who came looked at him and arranged his sleeves in his spare time. Fu Linchuan, when did you become my son? Fu Linchuan, who was still very arrogant just now, looked at the person stunned for a few seconds, and suddenly his legs were weak and he knelt down directly. Uncle Shen, why are you here? Dad sneered and glanced at the trembling Fu Linchuan, and then stared at Lin Jior. If I don't come, how can I know that you have joined hands to bully my daughter? And there are even people who are bold to let my daughter's golden body pinch the feet of a trash? As soon as my father welcomed me, I hugged his arm and spoiled him. Fortunately, you came quickly, otherwise I would have been bullied to death by this housekeeper's son. Looking at the intimate actions between me and my father, all the classmates were dumbfounded. Shen Yun is really the richest daughter. I have seen an interview on TV. This is the richest man. But Fu Linchuan has been secretly telling us that he is the son of the richest man. Why did he lie to us? In order to attract the attention of the goddess, but a small housekeeper's son has bullied the richest daughter for so long. His psychological quality is really good. Fu Linchuan knelt on the ground, and the sweat kept rolling down. He looked at me and turned to his classmates. He couldn't stop talking, but he didn't say a word for a long time. Lin Jior, who was beside him, rushed to Fu Linchuan with trembling, and tears fell. Brother Linchuan, what he said is false, right? The gifts you gave me are more than 5 million. How can you be fake? I listened to Lin Jior's cry and immediately looked at Uncle Zhang, who was following his father. Is there a surveillance camera here? Fu Linchuan's whole family is not worth 5 million yuan. But he can give Lin Jior a gift worth 5 million yuan. It is recommended to deposit the certificate and then strictly investigate it. Hearing my words, Fu Linchuan was so angry that his eyes were red and he almost went crazy. Shen Yun, you can't do this to me. I'm your lifesaver. If I hadn't saved you back then, you would have died long ago. You obviously gave me the black card and now you have to check me. Do you want to kill your life-saving benefactor? At this moment he can no longer care about the face among his classmates. He only wants to repay the favor. Fu Linchuan also imagined that he would kidnap me for the rest of my life with the grace of saving my life, just like in my previous life. But he was wrong. Just on the way I had sent someone to check the surveillance on the day I fell into the water. In the picture, Fu Linchuan not only deliberately loosened the pebbles by the lake, but also applied lubricating oil to my soles. Looking at the evidence-like video in my hand, Fu Linchuan was stunned for a long time. Then he suddenly jumped up and stretched out his hand to grab me. You knew it a long time ago, but why didn't you say it? You did it on purpose. You want to embarrass me on purpose, right? Looking at the crazy Fu Linchuan in front of me, I shook my head with a smile. Young master, you guessed wrong again. I don't want to embarrass you, I want to put you in jail. Hearing the words, Fu Linchuan was dumbfounded again. Why go to jail? Why should I go to jail? 8. Looking at his confused look, Uncle Zhang quickly handed the bill to him. Young master, you may not be imprisoned if you eat Overlord's meal, but if you live in my Overlord hotel and smash so many of my treasured antiques, you will start for at least 10 years. The top stream, who had been watching the excitement next to him, also came over at this time. We have signed an electronic agreement. If you can't afford my appearance fee, you will probably have to compensate me. About 10 million lost work fee. Of course it's okay if you can't afford to pay, because I'd rather see you be locked up for a few more years than asking for this little money. In their mocking voice, Fu Linchuan completely broke the defense. He rushed to my side with a runny nose and tears in his eyes and hugged my thigh tightly. Shen Yun, these are all misunderstandings. I just like you too much, so I made a little mistake. Please help me compensate them for the past friendship, or I will be beaten to death by my father. With the help of the bodyguard, I instantly broke free from Fu Linchuan's bondage and looked at Fu Linchuan, who was pressed to the ground and was embarrassed. Don't worry, your father won't beat you to death. Hearing what I said, Fu Linchuan's face raised expectations again. Shen Yun, you are so kind. I knew you wouldn't ignore me. I sneered and shook my head. You're wrong. I didn't mean to take care of you. I just sent your father in advance. He stole a large amount of property from my house and stole my ancestral jewelry this morning. When he was caught, he shouted loudly that you should take it to please Lin Jor. As soon as I fell, there was a cooing sound in the crowd. Looking up, I saw Lin Jor, who had asked me to pinch her feet just now, had already sat on the ground. She looked at me in fear. The things in the past are all Brother Linchuan. Fu Linchuan gave it to me voluntarily. You can't take it back. I looked at Lin Jor indifferently. That's what happened between you. After all, if you actively repay your property, you can get a reduced sentence. Whether your things can be preserved depends on whether your brother loves you enough. Hearing this, Lin Jor seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Brother Linchuan, I know you have always felt sorry for the poverty of my family. Before she finished her words, she was slapped twice on the face. Fu Linchuan roughly snatched Lin Jor's mobile phone and began to query financial software one by one. What about the money? Why is it so little? Give it back to me. When Lin Jor saw that the duck in her hand was about to fly, she was not willing to obey. At this moment she fought with Fu Linchuan. It was not until the two of them were covered that the bodyguard slowly separated them. You'd better save some effort and wait for the police to come. Fu Linchuan's face was like ashes in an instant, and he rushed over and begged for mercy crazily. But the well-trained bodyguard stopped in front of me, and he couldn't touch me at all. Lu Huichuan and Lin Jor were taken away. The rest of the students huddled together and looked at me with awe. Shen Yun, I didn't expect your family to be so rich, and you are so kind. I have long seen that there is something wrong with Fu Linchuan and Lin Jor. I didn't expect that these two people TSK, what a dog man and woman. Shen Yun, do you want to go to the library together tomorrow? I'll get up early to help you take a seat. I stopped and glanced indifferently at everyone who was talking. You don't have to try to please me. After all, I still remember the way you knelt down and licked Lu Huichuan just now. After saying that, I turned around and strode away. Fu Linchuan was soon sentenced to 15 years in prison for stealing a large amount of property and owing the wages of big stars. Lin Jor, Fu Linchuan's favorite, was accused of fraud. Although she was only sentenced to 5 years, her future was also ruined. Listening to these trials, I made waves in my heart. With the crimes they have committed, these punishments are far from enough. How can I let them go so easily? My family has money. I soon contacted the eldest brother among the prisoners in the men's and women's prisons. After discussion, an agreement was reached soon. I will pay a large monthly salary to their families, and they will work for me in prison. Not long after, the news came from the prison. Fu Linchuan and his housekeeper's father. One broke his hand and the other broke his foot. Lin Weiner, who has the worst psychological quality, is crazy. I am very satisfied and have renewed the cooperation agreement. In the future, these tortures will always accompany Fu Linchuan and the three of them, and I will rush to a better life. The full text is finished.